Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk Travel with the Travel Collective. And I'm here again with Elaine. She's been on many of my episodes. I admire her adventures and her love for Morocco. So we're just going to jump right in and hear about her women's tour to Morocco. So welcome, Elaine.
Well, thank you so very much. I'm always pleased to be here, and I'm always pleased to talk about our Morocco Mosaic Discovery Tour for women. Because if you're a woman and you like to travel and you're independent or maybe not so much, but are curious about Morocco, then we have the perfect tour for you. We have a 14-day, 13-night tour to Morocco for this fall, October 3rd to the 16th. And we call it a discovery tour for women because it isn't just for women on the tour. Men are welcome, actually, although some of the activities men wouldn't be able to participate in because they are women only. But nevertheless, this is really an opportunity to get insight into the life and lifestyle of women in Morocco. And of course, at the same time, then reflect upon our own lives as women in North America. So, in lots of ways, this is a general sightseeing tour. We start in Casablanca and we circle through Chefchaouen, the Blue Village, and um, to Fez and to Marrakesh, all those wonderful cities that everyone's heard about. And we also do a trip to the desert on this particular tour. So it's high value just from the perspective that on this particular tour, the desert is included. That part includes a night in a desert hotel and then a night in a beautiful deluxe luxury tent camp out there in the dunes of the Sahara Desert. Yes, there's a camel ride, but if you don't want to ride the camel, we can take you in by 4x4. But it really is the kind of tour where you do get a chance to see all the major, like signature highlights that Morocco has to offer. And of course, at the same time, as I say, get insight into the lives of women. So how do we do that? Well, we do it in a few different ways. One of which is we go to probably 3 or 4 different women's cooperatives. So these are establishments, basically businesses set up to both train and promote these and develop the skills of women. Often these are trade craft skills, so things like carpet weaving or embroidery or hospitality services, food preparation, those kinds of things. But nevertheless, oh, and I can't forget argan oil, of course,
Yes.
argan oil.
Yeah.
So we go to all of these different cooperatives so that you can get a sense of just how women have the opportunity to gain some independence, an independent income, and some marketable skills. So that's one of the highlights. The other thing we also do is we have a lovely tea party with Berber women where, again, there's the opportunity to interact with them, talk to them and ask their some questions about their lives and have henna done to your hands as well, applied to your hands. So that's a little takeaway souvenir from the henna party.
That sounds
Um,
beautiful.
Yeah, along the way, of course, there's lovely food. We also visit a little saffron farm and botanical garden just outside of Marrakesh where we have a delicious lunch. And we love to take people to this particular farm because it's owned by a Swiss woman who basically took a raw piece of land and transformed it over the course of 10 years or so to make this botanical garden and saffron farm. And
Wow.
she hires other local women to help with the saffron harvest and serve the tea and tell you all about the magical properties of saffron as a spice. So there are just many opportunities here to really dive into the lives of women. Uh, some of the other things we do, of course, are the signature highlights. So we do walking tours of the major cities of Fez and Marrakesh. There's also a visit to Rabat, the nation's capital, which is also an imperial city. We'll definitely be making time for you to have a traditional hammam, which is the absolutely pampering bath experience where you can either go to a community bath if you're brave, or you can have the spa experience where you'll have a personal attendant slosh you with water and give you the most invigorating scrub you can possibly imagine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll also visit the Roman ruins of Volubilis, visit the Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca, which is the only mosque remaining in Morocco where non-Muslims can visit. Um, some of the architectural marvels include Ksar Ait Ben Haddou, just outside the desert, which is just one of several UNESCO World Heritage Sites that we visit on the tour. Um, we'll also involve you in a cooking class once we get to Marrakesh, and just basically have a lovely good time along the way.
Oh, it sounds fabulous. So, how many participants on this one?
So this one we limit to 6 participants so that it's a really small group. You get to know your new friends very well. And but it means that we can do many things because it's quick to load and unload people from the car. It's safe to walk around as a group together. And actually, when I think of safety, I do want to assure anyone that Morocco is perfectly safe, particularly the way we travel with small groups in a private unmarked car. We're staying in local accommodations where people, will get to know you and watch out for you. So um, really, it's a perfectly safe experience to be there. Um, we love staying in the traditional riads because, of course, they're the old family mansions that have been transformed into guest houses. And so they're small, they're intimate, they're often family owned. And so, again, it's another opportunity to interact with local people and learn about their lives. I think I didn't mention the price for this one.
Okay.
This is priced at $3,980 for the 14 days and 13 nights. And that's in US dollars, of course, with all taxes and fees included. There's also no single supplement. So that's a private room with a private bathroom for each person on the tour.
I think that's wonderful too. And tell us, Elaine, take us back to your original trip, when you went, because you've been back to Morocco and then formed your company based on your experience, if I recall.
Yes, that's true. I started with my own magical tour back in 2013, where to me, Morocco was a mysterious place, but was tantalizing and interesting and intriguing. And I found a company out of the UK that was going to offer a 7 day cooking tour there. And I thought, well, that would be a perfect way to overcome my own concerns about how I might fare in a country where I don't speak Arabic at all and my French isn't very good, and how would I survive? But here I would have at least a week with other English speaking people who would know the country well. And of course, so I booked and I started imagining what else I could do. And before long, I had another 2 weeks tacked onto that where I would just travel myself. Well, you can imagine what happened. I got there and I was having a marvelous time on my own when I got the fateful email from them saying that they'd canceled the tour because they didn't get enough registrants. But they didn't want to give me my money back. They wanted me to go to the Riad where they were going to run this tour from. And the man who owned it would do anything for me, still offer a cooking program if I wanted, or help me go to the mountains, or help me go to the desert. And that was the thing that clinched it for me because for the first time going on my own, it was going to be just too difficult or challenging, I thought, to get to the desert. Because, okay, you can take a bus to the desert towns, but you still need, a private vehicle or some other means to actually get into the desert. And I just didn't know if I could do that. Here was my chance. So indeed, I got in the car, and there were 2 other people staying at the same riad who decided to go along with us. And it turned out they were also from Canada.
Oh, wow.
So it was a miracle.
Yeah.
They actually ended up having some health problems. And so partway along the way, I kind of stopped being a guest and I started to help the driver get us all back safely. And it was at the end of that trip that he and I looked at each other and said, maybe we should do some more of this. So yes, I have now been back, I guess a total of 16 times. I do work with him. He owns the company in Morocco. He has his own vehicle and works with other drivers. So we can serve the needs of any number of people now. but we do prefer the small groups. And my job is to, help develop itineraries for custom tours, escort tours such as the Morocco Mosaic Women's Tour, and just have the pleasure of being able to go back over and over again to what is now my second favorite country.
Wow, that's fabulous. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and I love that you formed this bond with him to so you can safely bring your small groups. It's perfect for, women's groups to go and have these experiences, especially with women from a country that, without maybe someone to interpret the language, you might not get these opportunities to meet them and get a glimpse into their lifestyle.
Exactly. And, we really do take care of you from start to finish. So when you arrive at the airport, then we're there, our driver is there to pick you up and take you to your accommodations. We start you on your tour. Again, in this particular case, I'm there escorting you. So you're always with people who are looking out for you, who know the country, know how to help you out and take you around everywhere. And of course, once we're finished the tour, then we take you right back to the airport. So even though airfares are not included in the trip, so you can pick your own choice of carrier and timetable and so on. Once you're there, you are in our capable hands for the entire time that you're there.
And speaking of air travel, since you've gone back and forth from North America so many times, I know you touched on Royal Air. I think it's Royal Air Morocco. Is
Mhm.
that the one you like to use preferably? Do you want to speak a little bit about what you've
Sure.
experienced
So
as because you've flown back and forth so many times for those thinking about it?
exactly. So yes, I have lots to say about carriers, but I'll try and explain why in the end I do prefer Royal Air Maroc. We're not affiliated with Royal Air Morocco in any way, but I choose them and prefer them and recommend them, partly because of the quality of the service, partly because of the quality of the aircraft. So they always
Mm.
fly the Boeing 787 Dreamliner from all points in North America to Morocco, and they have daily service. So not only do they have daily service, but the times of their departures and arrivals are very advantageous from the point of view of, facilitating an arrival that's sort of mid-morning, so we can actually take you to check into your hotel where you can rest and relax for a while. And on the other end, the flight doesn't leave until around 5 in the afternoon.
Mm.
So again, you almost gain a full travel day that way, where, okay, you're spending lots of it in the airport, just getting there, but you're not having to get up at the crack of dawn to get to the airport for a 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning departure. So that's not to say that there are not other choices. So out of Canada here, Air Canada also flies to Morocco, to Casablanca. I would never recommend them. Their schedule is not nearly as advantageous. And in addition, they fly old aircraft. So
Mm.
it's not nearly as comfortable that way. They also are very stingy on the baggage allowance. So while Royal Air Maroc gives even economy passengers 2 checked bags plus a carry-on, um, you don't get that on the other North American carriers. Out of the US, both United and Delta have started this coming fall, to fly out of, I believe, I think it's Newark and also JFK. JFK is the airport out of which Royal Air Maroc flies.
Yes.
But in any case, both of these new services are seasonal and they do not fly every day of the week. So this is really tricky both for us and for you as travelers because it's very hard for us to like tailor our start and end dates for a tour that are going to be convenient for both arrivals and departures on either of these two airlines. Pretty well in either case, as far as I've been able to determine. You'll either have to come in a day early, which is
Mm.
not necessarily bad if you like to just have a day to get used to the time change and everything before the tour starts. but it's still an extra cost, right? An extra hotel. Same thing on the other end. It is very difficult to time the conclusion of the tour with a convenient departure with either Delta or United. So you might wonder, well, then why not just take a flight through Europe? Yes, you can. And that way you can get daily departures on your airline of choice, but it does mean that your flying time to Morocco, your ultimate destination, is almost double. Because if you think of it, your flight from the US to any of the usual hubs like London, Frankfurt, Paris, Amsterdam, whatever, that's your first 8 or 9 hours, isn't it?
Yeah,
7 if you're coming from the East Coast. But then you have some kind of a layover,
right.
and a couple of hours at least, and then you have your flight to Morocco. So when you start adding all of that up, probably you're looking at 12 to 15 hours instead of 6.5 to 8. So that's why if you can get yourself to JFK and take Royal Air Morocco, then that would be a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that sounds like, and I have noticed, I know we're recording this May 2025. The airfares currently right now have been amazing, actually. Um, I think the economy and people's hesitancy to travel. So if you're thinking about it, I mean, tacking on your airfare with this women's tour, I think you'll really find it's a really solid value.
I would agree with you. And Morocco is still one of those places that is up and coming as a tourist destination. So if you've been reading about some of the issues that people visiting Italy and Spain and Portugal have been having, where they're getting basically assaulted by local people who are starting to resent the presence of so many tourists, that's not happening in Morocco. Now, that's not to say every single person in Morocco will welcome tourists with open arms, because this is less an issue of the pressure of tourists, but simply the disparity that people in Morocco see between their own lives and those of people who have the pleasure and the privilege, frankly, of traveling. Um, and so there is a certain amount of resentment there that's sort of an undercurrent, but
Okay.
by and large, you are going to be welcomed happily and generously by the Moroccans that you meet there because, if anything, the experience of the pandemic taught everyone in Morocco just how valuable the tourism industry is to their total economy. So they are still welcoming visitors with open arms.
That's wonderful. And I love the idea of a women's trip, a small group. You get to have these amazing experiences of, having the tea and you mentioned the bath. That's an amazing, unique experience. These are once in a lifetime experiences that I highly recommend reaching out to Elaine. We'll have all the details available. So her website is cometothesahara.com. And you want to hand out your email address as well?
Yes, it's very simple. It's Elaine at cometothesahara.com.
Fabulous. So thanks for listening, everyone, and tune in to other episodes. You'll find Elaine has other episodes on the Travel Collective as well. Thank you.